This is Mary Ann Goldberg, professional medium and owner of a Village Personal and Spiritual Development Center. Coming you tonight from Cleveland, Ohio. It's a blustery winter evening tonight. And so sorry I'm late, but that prevented some things. So I've been kind of backlogged for most of the afternoon. So grab your cuppa and your notebook. And tonight we're going to talk about winter and decking the halls and what that means. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the season of winter is upon us, and we're going to have winter solstice on December 21st. And so I wanted to talk about some old traditions and reasons why we did the things that we do and the holy days surrounding this time, and how you and your family can maybe create some new traditions that celebrate more of this cyclical change of season. And which is kind of what I want to talk about tonight. So grab your cuppa and let's unpack it a little bit. So, deck the halls. Deck the halls is a phrase that goes with the song, deck the halls with boughs of holly. Fa la 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 la. So, decking the halls meant the word deck, okay, in Old English, actually meant to adorn or decorate, okay? And the halls, there were these communal halls or places where people communally gathered, okay? So they had big receiving rooms, or they had big longhouses, or places where a lot of people got together to for a lot of reasons, to stay warm, to come together, to share, And so decking the halls is about creating a time of when we would come together and during this time of the year. So winter is the time that happens after fall. So after the harvest, after everything's canned and put up, winter is a time of rest. It's a time of remembering. It's a time of reflection, and it's a time of release and creating. So in our modern world, we don't really operate cyclically like that anymore. When we lived in communities that were farmers, and we lived in these smaller interdependent villages, most of us, being American or being here in the United States, don't necessarily have those ancestral memories of living in those kind of communal settings. And so when we get back to kind of peeling off like all this things that have come to represent this time of year, I like to take things back to the origin, so then we can build on that. So once we understand this time of year, it helps us really kind of use it for what it's for. And so the reason why winter is this powerful time is because everything goes into hibernation. So all the plants are resting and regrouping underground. Everything above ground looks like it's dead. And it's the end of a cycle. It's the end of a growing cycle. And even birds migrate away during the winter and to go rest and store their energy so they can come back in the spring. So that's kind of these cycles. And these are not things that we're necessarily taught about, because we live very contrary in our modern world, away from nature and its cycles and the profound impact that it actually has on us as human beings. So why do we gather at this time? Well, back in the day, okay, it was out of survival. Okay, it's dark, things are scarce at this time of year. It's also the longest night. So the nights get much longer, and periods of daylight are so short that winter solstice being that longest night, not just physically, but it's also emotionally dark, during this time of year. So again, it's a time of scarcity. It's a time of coming together to support each other emotionally, physically, and sharing our abundance with one another so that we can all survive and make it through the winter time. So the night of solstice is when the days start to get longer. Okay. And so that last period of darkness is over, and we welcome the sun back, to the morning, on that next day. And so then the days get slowly and progressively, minute by minute, longer until we get to spring equinox. So that's what solstice actually is. So December 21st is solstice. The core message of it is not really about, cheer and rah, rah, rah. It's celebrating that we are all together and that we are, that we're resilient, and that we are enduring, and it gives us hope and it gives us community. And so that's really what this time of year is about. So the longest night is also, it's a victory over darkness. So we all come together on solstice to stay up all night to welcome that sun back and keep the fires burning. We light candles, and so I wanted to talk a little bit about all the different traditions that come with all the different cultures, and how they represented that, So it's, the darkness reaches its peak and then it begins to lose its power, over us. And so the themes that we look at during this time is rest or stopping, taking the time to really reflect on our last year, how things went, who's with us, who's not with us, what lessons did we learn, working through grief. This is a time of really working through those remembrances and grief, over things that are no longer with us, whether that's people or situations. And it's a time of waiting, patience, and trust, and having faith, knowing that the sun will return, and that this is a temporary time and we have each other during it. So if you guys get a chance, one of my favorite musical artists is Mary Chapin Carpenter, and she wrote a song called The Longest Night. And it's such a beautiful song. I was going to play it for you, but it usually gets me a copyright violation on my videos. So if you get a chance to look up The Longest Night by Mary Chapin Carpenter, it's such a beautiful song about why we get together in this time of the year, especially during solstice. So welcome. Thanks for joining me. I'm so glad you guys are here. The weather is awful tonight out there. And, so I got all my appointments were late. So it pushed me later and later. And so I'm sorry that it took me forever to get out of here, but here I am. We made it. We're here together. So that's that. So many cultures, different cultures, celebrated these cyclical times of the year, especially the winter solstice, by keeping the fires burning, by storytelling, by singing and drumming, and then watching together the sun appear. So that isn't just our culture. That actually started even in Roman times. All the people celebrated these shifts in season, and so there weren't holidays or holy days surrounding them. They were the holy day. It was that time that we celebrated together. So why does it matter? Why does it matter that we do these things at this time of the year? Well, because it reminds us that no one's meant to face the darkness alone. And being awake together throughout that night, keeping the candles lit and keeping the fires burning, helped us not be afraid because we weren't by ourselves. And we all stayed awake together to pay attention and hold sentry. Somebody was paying attention while other people rested. And then the dawn was greeted as a shared awareness, and so the longest night was never meant to be slept through alone, and when we have each other to do that, but we need to create these rituals, so, at the end of this podcast, I'm going to talk a little bit about what I'm doing for solstice and what I can include you guys in. But this is going to give you some ideas about why we do these things and how you can maybe create these with your kids and your family. So evergreens and decking the halls. Why do we use Christmas trees? Why do we have greenery? Well, so evergreens don't go dormant. Okay, they're green all year long, and that was kind of a magical thing back in the day. And so when you brought evergreens into the house, It symbolized that life persists, that life still continues, okay? In spite of the hibernation, in spite of most of things being looking like they're dead, evergreens never lose their needles or leaves, and they are perpetual. So we brought them into the house to bring life into the house. So holly is one of them. Pines, fir, ivy was also used herbally as a protector, okay, and a reminder of that. So we create circles or wreaths representing continuity and that things continue. So that's why we put those boughs in a wreath. So isn't that interesting? So they weren't really for decoration. They were like amulets, talismans for protection, and reminders that even though things may appear dead, or that those things are still among us. And it's reassurance that life continues. Okay. Now this is also a time when the veil is the thinnest. Okay, because we're still and we're present. And so this is a wonderful time for the universe and all of our ancestors and relatives to spend this quality time with us in these places, in these halls, okay? And so they're present with us during this time of reflection. And so good ideas are popping in your head, and they're popping in your head. And it's a time that even though we miss them in this physical reality, that they're still with us, and and they're part of our everyday. But this is a really wonderful time to be able to get the messages and notice, their presence in our reality. So the veil starts to thin in October, but it continues through till spring solstice. So this is a wonderful time to be inspired. The other side is working hard at getting us, keeping us lifted with hope and, new ideas and shifts in consciousness. And so it's a wonderful time to really reflect and remember. So the Yule, so in Celtic cultures, they called it Yule. So the story about it is really more Norse and Germanic, okay, when it comes to the Yule. So we keep these fires lit during this longest night. And then the last log that was on the fire, when it goes out, okay, in the morning, we would keep that. We would keep that last log as a remembrance of us making it through this night. And then we would take that Yule log and we would use that next year to start the new Yule fire that we would start to keep lit all night long. And so somebody stays up and tends the fire. We all stay up and take turns tending the fire. So the Yule log is actually, that's what it actually is. But you can actually decorate and get a log. Yule marked the solstice for the Nordic and Germanic cultures. So a piece of that Yule log was saved every year. But what we can do is get a little piece of log and we can decorate it with holly or candles and put things on it, and then that represents, our Yule log. Or you can actually build a fire and save yourself your own Yule log so that we can save that as a reminder and then to start our Yule celebration next year. So that's the symbolism of that. I come from German people. I come from Celtic people too. And so they all had these different interesting things that they did during that time. So it's also about letting things go in the fire as well. So this is a time when we would let go of things and awarenesses that we're finished with. It's about keeping us warm and protected. And so that's how we represent Yule in that culture. So you can, if you want to make a Yule log, okay, you get a hardwood log and you, or any kind of wood. It doesn't have to be specific. And then you take a greenery, like the evergreen, like pine or cedar or holly, and you tie it to the Yule log. And then quite often people will insert or glue a candle on it so that you can light that. So you wrap the greenery around it, you put the candle on the top, make sure you're safely doing that, okay? And then we light those candles with intention, Okay, so we light those with intention in whatever way would sound or feel good for you. So we either sit quietly or we can all share around the fire or Yule log about, you know, the awarenesses that we've had or the things that we've come upon, or just expressing gratitude for each other. So this is also an ancient ritual that's called Saturnalia, that was done in Rome. Okay, now it was a time of all these things, feasting, candles everywhere. So, you know, those, and it's often the social hierarchy. So everybody came together, not just, you know, one group of people. They mingled, you know, different social hierarchies. And so they, operated from a place of making sure you laugh. It's to lighten the mood, to bring light into the room. So that was another fun effect. So it's about lightness, generosity, and easing the weight of winter. Okay. And community mattered more than the structure of what it was. So it's about coming together. It didn't matter where you're gathering, as long as we were together. So then there's a fun one that originated in England, which is the term Boxing Day. Okay. So Boxing Day is not about sports. Okay. It's not about boxing. It's actually comes from, giving boxes. Okay. So churches would, keep charity boxes for the poor. Do you remember, you know, I went to Catholic school. So we had these charity boxes that we would put money in. And so on Boxing Day, on the day after Christmas, the boxes were opened and distributed. So this aligned with with charitable works during this time of year. And so they would take all that money that was collected in the collection boxes over the year, and they would evenly distribute that out they would put it in boxes and distribute it to the poor and needy in the community. Now, with servants and workers, Boxing Day, because servants actually worked on Christmas Day, and so on the 26th, they were given the day off. Okay? So they received these small gift boxes from their employers, or people that they served during the course of the year, and or they would take home the leftovers from the Christmas feast, okay, and they would box those up and take that home, and so they were receive these small boxes, leftovers, or money to take home to their families the day after Christmas, you know, in that time that they were working. So they celebrated Boxing Day, basically, instead of Christmas in that way. And then it also, Boxing Day applied to tradespeople or people that received year-end Christmas boxes from their employer as a thanks for service throughout the year. So this is a wonderful time for us to acknowledge the people that serve us all year long selflessly. You know, our delivery people, our mailman, you know, folks that work at restaurants, you know, people who are serving a population, our, you know, front end workers, you know, people that are holding it down, all year. And so giving them a little box, that represents, some sort of gift, of some kind, just to tell them you're valued, you know, and so, that's what Boxing Day is, just so you know. So it's December 26th. It's the day after Christmas, and it's not about boxing. It's about little boxes of goodies and money. So, and tithing, you know, paying it forward, you know. So the reason we bring Christmas trees, now here's another fun fact. So Christmas trees originated way before, you know, we call them Christmas trees, okay? So Christmas trees are evergreen, and so they see trees as world connectors, you know, the standing people, you know, and so when we bring that into the home, they would decorate them, especially the German folks would put candles symbolizing stars and the returning light. And so the tree was decorated because, in addition, it was also about warding off evil or warding off sickness. Okay, because these things survived all winter long. And so having that live greenery and smelling the pine actually did have medicinal benefits, okay? in keeping people healthy, especially when they didn't have, antibiotics and all the meds and all those things. So we had to rely on nature to stay well. And so bringing evergreens into the house was also another way to ward off sickness. Okay. And so it's a wonderful thing, in that way. So then we come to St. Nicholas, okay, who was actually a real person. Okay. St. Nicholas was actually known for his very quiet generosity. He would come in and just leave things at people's doors anonymously. He didn't want to be found out. And so this is kind of where we get the Santa, delivering presents in the middle of the night where, magically things would appear. But St. Nicholas actually was a very kind and generous human being who were helping families during surviving hard times. And so he would go and do these random acts of kindness all over the place, especially during this time of winter when things are scarce. It's much more scarce now. So how do we hold the light together? Okay, so how do we come together and hold that light? Especially, guys, there's a lot of shifting and changing going on in our world right now, and we have been very divided. So coming together and creating these communal opportunities, and this is why I highly recommend that you go serve at community meals. So let's deck the halls by joining a community meal and helping set up, clean up, and having a meal with other people in the community who are maybe less fortunate than you and I. I mean, I've found myself at community meals, not only serving, but, having to get a meal as well. And so it's a wonderful way to come together and decking the halls by spending time in our communities, sharing, what we have, and all of us celebrating and doing those charitable works, paying it forward as well. So how do we hold the light together in these modern times? Well, we want to light a candle for someone else. We want to keep it lit for someone else. Staying up later with intention during solstice. I'm staying up to hold the energy, hold the watch, have faith, to hold the light for others. And so staying up later with that intention sends that vibration to the universe as well. So I'm part of the solution, and I'm willing to stay up and hold the light, So that's another reason why we can hold that light and how we can do that together. Sharing a meal. It's kind of like that story of stone soup. We all get to contribute. We all bring something to the buffet. We all bring something to the table, and we share what we have. We share what we have with each other. And, if I just have, one kind of food, when we come together communally, we share in that abundant thing that everybody brings to the table, the potlatch, the potluck, sharing our what we have with one another, and it makes for a much more diverse buffet, not just food-wise, but people-wise as well. So sharing a meal is very important because we all put love into what we're making, and so we're all eating that love that's coming from others. So it's very satisfying. It's much more satisfying than buying pre-made food. Creating something by hand. Now, this is a tradition that my family and I are doing every year, okay, is we really take the time to make something that represents the person that we're making it for. So, for instance, I knit, I make things that are useful, and I give those things as gifts at the holiday season. Sometimes we'll create ornaments, or we'll create and I'm going to get to this later, I create, things that are going to remember that I made for them. The energy of me putting my energy into creating it and gifting it to someone else. So when I first started doing this, and I had I had a cottage industry. So I used to make gift baskets for everyone, so it was homemade hot cocoa mix, brownie mix. I would make mixes and bag those up. And all you had to do was add eggs or milk or butter, and you had, and so this was one of the things that I did. And so I would make those baskets. I would give them tea and honey, local honeys and things like that. And so I create these cute little gift baskets that were nurturing, and they were something that I made by hand that they could make and use later. And we would have family get-togethers where we would make Christmas ornaments for each other, or to hang on our tree every year. And so I have a whole box of homemade, handmade ornaments that Jared and I have made every year through his lifetime. And so I think, yeah, so now we're on year 29, okay? So that's something that we do together. And we do this here at a village, and we invite other people to come, which is going to bring me to an event that I'm going to be putting on the books for December 20th, if you guys are interested. So another way that we can hold the light together is watch the sunrise together. You know, so when it was solstice, I would run and wake Jared up and say, the sun is coming back, the sun's returning. And so we would get up and we would go to the window and we would watch the sunrise together. And it was just so cool because, you know, that energy of, oh, the winter's, you know, the sun is coming back and it's going to start, the weather's going to start changing, and it gives us hope. And we would do that together. So I would wake him up and say, come on, the sun's coming up. We have to, you know, look at it and just let it come, you know, and, you know, get a chance to go see that. You know, there were times that we would even drive down to the lake and wait for the sunrise, you know, and on solstice or around that time, to, you know, welcome the sun back. And so that's a fun tradition, a ritual that you can create with each other or your families or your kids. And then just sitting in silence together. You know, just all reflecting and reminiscing and just holding the energy while everybody's just quietly reflecting. Maybe even giving them a mandala or something to color or to write down their thoughts. But everybody just sit in this quiet solitude, you know, canceling out the noise and the hustle and bustle and just really embracing the quietness of winter. Winter is very quiet. And so, but community is the most important part, is doing this together, you know, finding places and people to do this with, or inviting people over to do it with you, you know. The days of inviting people to our homes or inviting people to common spaces is, you know, something I've been doing my whole time. But, you know, you can also invite us over, you know, have people over and make it a potluck and have everybody come on in and join in that, or find a community space that you can do these things at as well. So, so the wrap up to this part of winter is people are longing for connection and something to believe in, okay? We all need each other, guys. We need each other's energy. We need each other to inspire each other. Sometimes we just need somebody to hold us up while we're figuring it out. But these traditions survive because they work. Because they work, and none of us can do this alone, you know? And it does take a village because, you know, it gives you hope. It gives you faith, and it shows you that you're not doing it by yourself, and that we will make it through, and the sun will come up again, you know? So hope is a wonderful thing. So peace on earth, goodwill, and hope to each other. And that's what we're all trying to do, to come together and to change the world, you know? But it takes me and you and, you know, and giving these traditions and rituals to, you know, those behind us, you know, those younger than us. And so going back to the basics, going back to these original cycles are super important because it reminds us of how powerful nature is and how temporary life is for us. And so we don't want to waste time. You know, we don't want to waste time. And, you know, the thing we leave behind, guys, is memories, you know, and the love. That's it. You know, I've never seen a hearse dragging a U-Haul, and stuff doesn't matter. And so when we buy meaningful things for one another, you know, or we create or make beautiful things. So and I'm not saying this just to plug myself, but sometimes the most intangible thing you can give is like sessions with me, you know, where people can get some clarity and some insight. And that's a gift that keeps on giving because, you know, I just finished up a session today. And it was so interesting to watch someone's perspective change. What they came here for and what they left with was was a shift in perspective that just, I mean, I could see the light bulb go on, and how when we just quickly shifted that perspective to the spiritual understanding, it instantly offered some other ideas and solutions for this person, you know? And that's the beauty of it, is I'm not here to keep you dependent. I'm here to make you empowered and to show you it's doable, not only through what the universe shares with you, but through my example and all the things that we have going on here at a village, and all you wonderful folks who show up to these things and bring that beautiful diversity to the table, you know, so it gives people an understanding, and it makes them feel safe and accepted. Yeah. We all need that. We all need that. So, friends, we don't conquer the darkness. We keep each other company until the light returns. Right? So, during this time of winter and during this time of solstice, you know, come together. Be a village. You know, let's share that space and hold each other up until the light returns. All right? That's what I got tonight. So I am going to have a solstice event on December 20th. It's low key, guys. We're going to create a decoupage church candle that looks like stained glass. Okay, so it's a craft night. And it's going to be a potluck. So if you guys want to bring a dish, I might make a pot of chili or something, but it's a whole evening thing. So the class starts at 7. It's not really a class, it's a craft event. And I will purchase one candle for everybody. I have all the decorations and all the gizmos and all the things that we decoupage onto it. And if you want to bring extra church candles with you, I have enough craft supplies that you can make extras. But the fee is like $20, I think it's $20 or $25. And that's just for the supplies. But if you want to bring extra candles and make them for your family or other people, this would be a fun event. So again, you know, the gift of a candle, something that you decorated. It was funny because I had done this craft with a whole school of kids, 350 kids. And their parents still text me every Christmas to let me know that candle that Johnny made in second grade, that they pull that out every year, and now they put like a tea light in it, and it still glows, and they think of me and at that time of year every time they pull that heirloom out and light it up. So that's what I'm saying, guys. So the gift of light, or creating a light that we can share with each other, that's what the candle represents. And again, when the candle burns down, you can always put another candle in there, or you can put a little votive holder and just put votives in there. But it's a wonderful craft. So come together with us on December 20th. So I have a channeling event, Christmas channeling event on December 19th, which is Friday. And then Saturday at 7 o'clock, we're going to do our solstice event. Now, we're probably not going to be here up all night, okay? Here together as a group. But we will share food and companionship and laughter. We also have games and all kinds of fun things that we can do. So if you want to think about registering for that, so just go onto my website, mariannegoldweber.com/events, and you can sign up for our Christmas holiday channeling events and our solstice celebration. So think about going back to the basics. Let's celebrate these shifts in season, and let's create new traditions with our children, you know, and each other, you know, because again, the sun will rise again. Which brings me to another fun topic. So, you know, it's interesting. So in like 350 or 400 AD, the established Catholic Church at the time, the church, actually appropriated this solstice celebration to create a memorial of Jesus's birth. Okay, so it was appropriated through the pagan culture, because Jesus was not born at December 25th, but it is actually it was a feast day. Okay, where we celebrated Jesus's birth, but it turned into something way more. But they did that because people were already celebrating at that time of the year. And so they hitched their wagon to these pagan, these earth-based rituals during solstice. And so that's why Christmas came upon on December 25th. So a little fun fact in history. So if you want to look these things up with your kids, this is fun. So let's go down the rabbit hole. What are different rituals and things that you guys can do? And again, these are the things that make memories. I can't tell you how many times we've had 15, 20 people at a table making things, laughing, telling stories about their childhood. It's just amazing. And so getting together communally is a wonderful thing to start doing with your family. So, I would take Jared to community meals and we would sit and talk and he would play with the other kids. And, it's about building community, guys. And we're all in this together more than ever. We need each other. Okay. And it does take a village. So I'm so grateful for all of you. If you want to schedule some time or coaching, or sessions, at this time of year, it's a wonderful time to get insight. If you want to buy gift certificates for your loved ones, they come as I have these very cute Christmas gift certificates, and they're good for 3 months. Just go onto my website and purchase one, and I'll send it back to you. Make sure you include your phone number and your email, and I will send it to you as a PDF document so that you can print it and give it for the holiday, or you can just email it to them. So whatever you want to do, whatever fancy way. But it's a cute it's got snowmen on it, and it's a wonderful gift certificate. So if you want to give something that's really going to keep on giving, give the gift of insight. Because when you have a session, it just makes things so much more doable when you know that you have your loved ones, ancestors, and helpers guiding you and encouraging you. So let's see who's here real quick before I wrap up. But I just wanted to thank you all for following me. Thank you all for your support. I can't keep doing what I'm doing without you. And so when you have events and parties, it's helping all kinds of people. And it's helping me keep the space for you guys to come and hang out and do classes. We had our astrology class last night. Oh my God, that was so much fun. So much fun. And it was so funny because they were all like Geminis and these more, orderly signs. Oh my God, we had so much fun talking about it. So anyway, so we got Katie here, we got Diane, hey girl, hey Jason, it's so good to see you too, honey. And Jen, and Carrie, and Denise. Guys, this thing scrolls funny, so I can't see. Kathy's here, and Angela, and hey Tracy, how's my friend? Patty, my girl. So thank you so much for being here, guys. And again, this is a reflective time. This is a time of rest, and it's a time of remembering, and it's a time of letting things go. And so come hang out with us and join us for those things. We also have our Village Moon Lodge next Thursday night. So if you go to my website, all of those things are listed there. So keep the peace. Yeah, pray for our world. And together, we'll make it through these darkness, okay? So you got me and I got you. So take care and sign up for some stuff. Love you guys.